Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back for our final BGD virtual career fair. I know that you've been with me all week. Well, maybe some of you all have been with me all week. My name is Jamie Taylor. I am the founder of the BGD virtual career fair as well as the Black Golf Directory, which is the company hosting this event. And I'm excited because today is our final live interview with a company that's been with me every year of our 5-year event, and that is the American Junior Golf Association, better known as the AJGA. For those who don't know of this organization, you probably don't know them if you're not in golf, but if you are in golf, I would describe they are a junior golf tour. I liken them to the PGA of junior golf tours because they are the best of the best, and they host events with the best of the best. And those who go through their tours, a lot of them have elevated to professional golf level. So that's one aspect of what they do. Today, we're here to discuss about their business side, things that they offer for their employees and people who are interning. And one of the things that I love about them specifically is I personally view that they have the best internship program for sure in the golf industry, but potentially in the nation because of how thorough it is. So I have two great employees that are joining me today who are former interns, and they are going to talk about their experience as well as give you more information about what you can expect if you decide you want to apply. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on our two guests from AJGA. Welcome, Sydney. Welcome, Kyrie.
Hi, Jamie. How are ya?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. So just so the audience knows, because on my screen it looks like Kyrie is on the left side and Sydney's on the right. So the names are maybe flip flop. But
Yes.
I'll let you all kind of tell each other, tell the audience, excuse me, what your role title is and what you do specifically. Explain what you do specifically at the AJGA. We'll start with you, Sydney.
Okay, great. Hello, everybody. My name is Sydney Della Flora, and I am the manager of recruiting with the AJGA. I am originally from Toledo, Ohio, graduated from Bowling Green State University with my fellow Ohioan, Jamie. But I graduated from Bowling Green State University with a degree in tourism, hospitality, and event management. Following my graduation, I did the AJGA internship in 2020. I actually had kind of an untraditional start with the AJGA. I initially was aligned up to be a spring operations intern, which we'll talk about those positions here in a little bit. But the spring season, as you can imagine, in 2020 didn't really happen as planned. So they kind of canceled the spring season, moved it to the fall season. But before I started as an operations intern, I actually packed up my bags, moved to Georgia here where we are located, and worked in-house as a in-house player services intern. So kind of helped with the customer service aspects of the AJGA, helped and learned how to field tournaments, and all of that fun stuff. So did that in the summer of 2020 and then went on the road as a traveling operations intern in the fall of 2020. So concluding my internship, I got hired on full time in 2021 as a tournament director where I oversaw kind of 6 to 7 AJGA events across the nation and oversaw them kind of A to Z from golf course relations to sponsorship activation and everything. So did that for a couple of years before I got moved on up to our human resources department, where I now serve in my current role as the manager of recruiting. So I oversee all of the recruiting efforts for our internship, the hiring, the managing of our interns when they're employed with us, whether it's our spring season or our summer season. So really great to meet you all virtually, and I will pass over to Kyrie.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kyrie Conaway. I am the manager of DE&I here at the AJGA. My experience is a little different than Sydney's. I actually graduated from Wagner College in May of 24 with my MBA. I was there as well in 2022. I also graduated with my undergraduate, so I was there for about 6 years. And I played golf for Wagner College. And then in between my grad years, I was kind of trying to figure out what I was going to do as far as my career once I had graduated. And so I saw the internship program and I kind of was like, sounds a little too good to be true. So I kind of brushed it off a little bit and was like, I'm not going to do it. And then right before the deadline closed in 2023, I got another notification and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to apply for it and see what happens. And the cycle moved pretty quickly. I got come to IRW, which we can talk a little bit about that also. And so I was like, you know what, I got offered it and I was like, I'm just going to do it. And so I did the internship in summer of 23. I was an operations intern, team 4. And so then I went back to school. And I didn't really know what I was going to do after that. I loved being in the sports world. And so I got a call from Lauren that we both work for. And she was like, do you still have a job? And I was like, no. And so she said that she has a manager at DE&I open. And so I applied for it and I started full-time in June.
Thanks, ladies. Thank you for that. And I think people will be surprised that how many, well, the obviously the goal of the AJGA is to bring on interns into full-time positions, but the pathway to get to where you got isn't necessarily straight, or at least when you got there, you didn't think, oh, I'll be in this position, right, at the end of the day. So I think that's interesting that you got to navigate and get to that point, just because of the experience that you got from the internship and working with the AJGA. And I do want to shout out Lauren Shelley, who is, I don't know her official title, but let's just say she's like a chief of HR for the AJGA. She's been there for quite a while. A good friend of mine has been on the podcast or the event in the past, and she's really good at just facilitating your journey. So I'm just want to give her a shout out for everybody to know, and also know that if you do work there, she will be somebody that you will get to know as well. So with that said, can you just talk about, and I'm glad you guys went into that. I just want to reiterate, both of you have played golf, correct?
Yeah, Kyrie formally played golf in college. I played in high school and played growing up, a big hobby of mine. I'm not very good. Don't take that as I'm very good. However, you don't have to have a golf background to do the AJGA internship, so don't let that intimidate you. There is some of the kind of rulings of golf implemented into the AJGA internship, but we teach you everything you need to know. So by no means is that a requirement.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I want to make sure everybody knows, because I think that's the one intimidating factor for all golf jobs in the industry, is that people assume you have to have a golf background, especially to work in events management or do anything on the golf course. And I think that's the cool thing about working for AJGA, is that you're learning, right? So the whole idea is that you have a team of people that you can learn with. And so with that said, can you speak to the different internship programs and what they look like, and kind of give a overview of the different roles of how you could apply, what you could apply for?
Sure, yeah, I can definitely touch on that. So annually, we have over 100 interns every year. So as you can imagine, this really is the backbone of the AJGA, and we really only hire full-time from the internship. So we value our interns very, very much. And so the kind of positions that we have available, our biggest internship is our traveling internship, which is the internship that both Kyrie and I did. And it is a fully traveling program. So you would travel every single week to these golf courses that we run our golf tournaments at all across the country, and pretty much help us just put on our golf events. So we have a traveling operations internship. So our operations interns do all of the golf course setup. They help with rules officiating. They help with pace of play. Pretty much they do everything just to make sure that the event kind of runs smoothly from A to Z once on site. And then we also have the traveling communications internship. The communications interns kind of more focus on the journalism, public relations, marketing, and that social media side of the AJGA. So they highlight our events on our social media platforms, on our website. They do everything from photography, videography. They write articles. They interview players and sponsors. And we really do give our communications interns full creative freedom to come up with that media plan and then film, produce, edit, and then publish it on our social media platforms and our website. So, but however, our communications interns also do help with the rules officiating and with that pace of play kind of side of the operations internship as well. But the traveling interns it's a really great program. You're put on a team of about 8 or 9, and you would kind of travel around the country within that team. So we try and regionalize travel for the most part for our interns. So you're not, driving from California to New York, back to California every other week. That would be exhausting, of course. So we do try and regionalize travel for the most part. So for example, with my internship, I was out west. So I was primarily in California, Washington, Oregon, Arizona, and then made my way back to the Georgia area, hitting Oklahoma, Arkansas kind of on the way. But that's kind of our traveling program, paid hourly. We cover all the travel and lodging and a lot of the food expenses as well. So that's really great. And then I will briefly touch on the in-house internship program that we have. So we are based about an hour north of Atlanta, Georgia. So all of our in-house interns work out of our national headquarters, and we hire in our player services department, our finance department, and our communications department. So, and that is just available for the summer. Our in-house internship it starts the middle of May and then goes through August or so. So it is a really great opportunity for people that are local, or if you're looking to relocate to kind of the Georgia area or have that accessibility to do so, that is a really, really great opportunity as well. But the traveling internship is available for 2 seasons. We have a spring season. It starts March 3rd and goes through May 6th. And then we have a summer season. It starts May 12th and then goes through August. And very flexible with those summer end dates for anybody that is still in school or maybe has something else lined up for the fall, anything like that. We're very flexible there. A big point that I wanted to mention for our traveling internship is that we do have an age requirement, and you do have to be 21 to do our traveling internship. So if that is a barrier, I would definitely recommend you applying for our in-house internship first, doing that one, and then maybe coming back in a year or two once you do hit that 21-year-old mark. But those are kind of our programs we have.
No, that's great. I know you guys have extensive, and that's why I say you're the best internship program I know of. Because I feel like there's so many options, and also the traveling one obviously appeals to me because I love to travel anyway, and the idea of being on the road with a group of people and being able to go different places that probably most people would not have gone, or courses for sure people wouldn't have seen. It sounds very appealing to me. You touched on the age requirement, so 21 for the traveling internship, and then I'm assuming 18 and up for the in-house?
Yeah. Typically, our in-house interns are usually in college, or maybe they've recently graduated or something like that. So yeah, 18 or older for that in-house internship.
Can you touch on other requirements or things that make people appealing for this internship? Because obviously you did mention you don't have to be a golfer. So what would a potential candidate need to have to be viable?
Sure. Yeah. So for the operations internship, it is, pretty general. We aren't looking for anything super specific when it comes to experience. If you have some sort of game day experience in the sports industry, in the event industry, that's really great. Just because then we know you understand the long hours, the events life. As you can imagine, this internship's definitely a grind with early mornings and just long days. So if you have something like that, that's great. If you're involved on campus, if you're still in school or do a lot of volunteer work, anything like that is really great. So we usually see a lot of people with a bunch of different backgrounds come and do the operations internship. A lot of times we see sports management folks or something like that. But we even have full-time staff in this office that have done like finance, economics, and they're just looking to get into the golf industry. And this is a really great starting point. But for the communications internship, we typically see a lot of people that have some sort of journalism or photography, videography, social media experience is great, as the communications internship is pretty social media heavy. So having some sort of content creation experience, even if it's just your personal experience with editing on your own Instagram feed or something like that. So having that experience is really helpful for sure. You don't need to have like a full slate of all of that, but having some sort of that communications knowledge is definitely beneficial. And then one other requirement I just wanted to mention, or actually I guess there's 2. So our interns do drive from tournament to tournament. So all of our interns have to have a valid US driver's license. And you have to have had it for 3 years at a minimum to do our internship. And then finally, for international students, just wanted to mention that we do welcome international students. However, we do not sponsor international students. So if you have a work visa or something like that, you can definitely come to the internship, but we do not sponsor any international students or anything. So just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, thank you for getting those details. I think I'm glad to hear about the driving, because clearly you don't want to be in a car with someone who's just learning how to drive.
Yes,
so that's
right.
a good stipulation to have. So Kyrie, I know you both have done the internship, because obviously that's one of the stipulations to get a full-time job for most of the positions there at AJGA. Can you talk about your experience as a intern? What did you expect going in, and maybe what were some of the surprises?
Yeah. So I kind of applied for the internship. My background was kind of, like Sydney said, in finance. And so I was kind of wanting to get into the sports world. And so I honestly, I didn't have too many expectations. I kind of was like, oh, we're going to be traveling, but you don't really understand it until you fully see kind of what a day-to-day looks like. But honestly, it was one, I kind of say it's a summer of a lifetime is the best way that I can describe it. It is one of those things that, yes, you may have super long hours and you get up super early, but the things that you get to experience and the networking that you get to do, and you get to be with the juniors all day. It's just kind of the things you learn a lot about yourself and you learn a lot about the industry. And I think that's one thing I didn't realize going into it was how much you were going to learn about yourself. And, you know, you're on a team of 8 or 9, and these are people that you don't, you know, you have no idea who these people are, but you get to learn who these people are. And you honestly come out of it with, they become your best friends. They become the people that you spend every single waking moment, even though you work together, you live together, you get to kind of do those things, but also that bond of doing the traveling internship and, you know, waking up super early, and, but you also get to go do some amazing things. Like, I know my team, I think Sydney probably can agree. Like, we went to so many baseball games. It was kind of insane. But you get to do and see all of these things that, like you said, you may not ordinarily go on your own and do or experience. My intern team, we kind of went Huntsville, Alabama, and kind of started in the South and worked our way to California. Did I ever think I'd end up in the mountains of California and it is 38 degrees in July? Absolutely not. But it's some of those things that you really hold near and dear to you. And I think another thing that really surprised me was the networking opportunities that you get within the AJGA. You never know who you're going to run into. You never know who you're going to meet. You never know where your next connection could potentially come from. I know a lot of interns, like, they meet somebody at the golf course and there becomes their full-time job. And it's just because they were at the right place at the right time and they got to have that conversation and connection with a parent, with a sponsor, with the superintendent of a golf course. It just kind of depends. Or they continue on with the AJGA because they love it, or even, you know, they take the AJGA internship and the PGA, the LPGA, the Masters, like, they all kind of head that direction also. So I think for me, it was one of those things, I really found out what I wanted to do with my career and really wanted to be into the sports world and kind of love the golf part of it also. Even though I have a background in it, I would have laughed at you 2 years ago if you would have told me that I would be working in golf. I'd have been like, there's no way. But I absolutely love it. And I'm so glad that I did the internship and was able to get that experience. And so I think anybody who is wanting to get into the sports world or kind of is questioning which realm they want to go into, I definitely think the internship is definitely that test for you to kind of see if that is, the sports world is really what you want to do or not.
Got it. So you kind of touched on some of the people that you meet, and I know you all are doing a really good job of partnering with some well-known people in the industry for some of your events. Can you tell us did you possibly meet any celebrities, or have you met any celebrities while you're doing some of these travel jobs?
I was going to say, I can speak for mine,
Yeah,
for sure.
for sure.
I had the Stacey Lewis event, which I was so sad that I didn't get to meet her, but it was at her event. I did Patrick Reed, and he was also at the event, actually. Jordan Spieth, I got to run, and CT Pan were the 4 PGA or LPGA professionals that in my team that I got to work with. But then my team got to work with one of our national sponsors, which was TaylorMade. We got to go to their tournament in San Diego, and at their headquarters and things like that. So that was, I don't know about you. Did you?
Yeah, I kind of interned in a weird time, as you can imagine, with 2020. So unfortunately didn't really have all of those great experiences. However, I would just touch on some other tournament sponsors that we have. I mean, we partner with, like Kyrie said, a ton of PGA Tour professionals, including Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth. I mean, the list goes on. And then also, you know, Annika Sorenstam, for instance, she's a big partner of a big sponsor of ours. So I've gotten to meet her. She's fabulous. But also, you know, even outside of the golf industry, you know, Bo Hosler, Kevin Harvick has sponsored one of our events. So, I mean, the list goes on and on. We work with some really great people. And then similarly to TaylorMade, I mean, we also have Adidas. They sponsor all of our clothes. They give all of our interns a full uniform with shirts and pullovers, bottoms, shoes. You think they're getting it, which is super great. And then Imperial is our hat sponsor. Rolex, they sponsor our rankings. And our live scoring, stuff like that. So we have some really, really great partners with AJGA that we get to interact with pretty much on a daily, which is cool.
And so, and that sounds great. I think I've definitely followed you guys on social. So I've seen a lot of the celebrities and social media people that you've connected with. And so I know you guys do a good job there. You touched on the perks, Sydney, in regards to the uniforms and things of that nature. Can you, because of your internship, I'm just curious, can you walk us through like a typical day of the travel internship? Like what time does it start? What you guys are doing? Because I'm just curious to see what that looks like.
Sure. Yeah, I can kind of walk through more of a week in the life of an AJGA intern because the day-to-day definitely differs with what kind of day it is. But and I'll kind of focus on what our summer season looks like and then talk about our spring afterwards. But our summer season, usually a day or two is just strictly dedicated to traveling from one place to the next. So you're in the vehicle, you wake up right at 7 a.m., hit the road, and you begin your drive. Your drives can be anywhere from 1 hour to 24 hours. It really just determines with wherever you're headed to next. But you're in the team or you're in the trucks with your team. It's really fun just to bond and be with them during those times. So typically a day is dedicated to traveling. And that is usually done on Fridays. Saturday is the setup day. So all of the operations interns will do things like pick hole locations. They will mark the golf course. They'll put up any sponsorship signage or tents or prep coolers filled with water or something like that. So the operations interns will be very hands-on on that Saturday, getting the golf course ready for tournament play. The communications interns will sit down, come up with a media plan out their content that they want to film and edit over the course of the week, come up with any fun, Instagram reels or TikTok ideas that they want to, gather and get throughout the week. So that's kind of done on Saturday. The communications interns also write a pre-tournament article that just highlights the upcoming event, the field, what that looks like, our sponsors, the golf course, everything like that. So that all kind of happens on Saturday. Sunday is our official qualifier typically, and this kind of schedule varies, week in and week out, just depending on each tournament. But Sunday is typically the qualifier, which is just another opportunity for our players to try and play their way into the tournament if they couldn't immediately get into the tournament based on our kind of ranking and fielding system that we use. So a lot of times this is done at the golf course that is hosting the tournament as well. But sometimes it is an offsite qualifier at another local golf course nearby. So that happens on Sunday. The operations and the communications staff will help with starting and scoring. There's a registration process for the qualifier, and then they will do a lot of that pace of play and rules officiating kind of all in that qualifier day on Sunday. Monday is what we call Big Monday, and it is because it's probably the longest day of AJGA days, and we do our official practice round for the tournament. So just a day for the kids to come out, play the golf course at a very non-competitive level, just see, where are the hole locations? How does the course playing? How do they need to adjust their skill set to play at the golf course, right? So we give them an opportunity to play the golf course additionally outside of the competitive rounds. We also do registration during that. So the operations and communications interns will do a lot with the registration and making sure that the kids are good to go out there. This is when the communications interns will film a lot of their content, since it is, less competitive. The kids are usually in a good mood, ready to help and be in TikToks and stuff. So the communications interns will get a lot of their content on their practice round day. And then also on Monday is our Junior Am fundraising tournaments. So for those of you that are familiar with the PGA Tour, very similar to a Pro-Am, but tournament committees, local, people that live in the area, golf course staff, just have the opportunity to play with our juniors just for a fundraising event so we can give back to the local charity as well as our charity of our own, which I don't think we've really talked about much. But we are a nonprofit, so we do give all of our proceeds back, whether it's to local benefiting charities or our Liberty National ACE grant, which is a program that we have in place to give back to kids that, have the talent to play in our events, but maybe not the financial means to get there. So we do have that in place. So we do give a lot of our proceeds back to that program as well, which is really great. So that all happens on Monday. So as you can imagine, a very big day, lots going on, and it's probably the most fun day as an AJGA intern. You get to network with so many sponsors and, tournament committee members and golf course staff members. And it's just a very, lighthearted day. So it's really great. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are the 3 competitive tournament rounds. So all that pace of play, rules officiating, making sure the kids are good out there while they're playing. You will start players. So you'll announce their name, you'll announce where they're from, and then you'll also score players just to make sure that live scoring and everything is correct and accurate. And then Thursday is that final round day. That's also when all of the breakdown happens. So the operations crew will pretty much take down everything that they set up on that Saturday, and they will pack it away in the trailer. And then the communications interns will help with the award ceremony that just, honors the, call it 5 to 10 top finishers of each division, boys and girls. They'll finish up any sort of media things that they need to do, a post-tournament article, any other, final Instagram, Twitter, Facebook postings that they need to do. And then they will pack everything up, and first thing Friday morning, they will hit the road again. So as you can imagine, a very tight week and a quick turnaround. Typically it is like that every day, kind of lined up with things to do. But then also in the spring, just because the spring and the summer kind of weeks differ a little bit, since all of our juniors are still in school, we really only host our events on the weekends just so that they don't have to take time off school and they can kind of make it to our events for those days. We typically only have 2 competitive tournament rounds for the spring, and they take place on Saturday and Sunday. So it just kind of flips a little. The travel days are earlier in the week, Monday, Tuesday, setup days, Wednesday, Thursday, and then kind of that Friday, Saturday, Sunday is the qualifier in those competitive rounds. So.
Wow, that sounds like a crazy schedule. But honestly, that would be perfect for me. I love being busy. I don't like to sit still, so that would be right up my alley because I like to keep moving. So thank you for that overview. I just want to touch on something you mentioned to the audience. First of all, for those who are just joining, this is the American Junior Golf Association, known as the AJGA, and we're talking about their internship program, but also what they do as far as their full-time positions. And just wanted to, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat, because this is going to be probably the only time, unless you are always at the PGA show or at some of these bigger golf events, where you can directly ask questions to the organization. And so please do not be shy. I will be helpful to read them off for you at whatever time during this interview. You touched on the foundation and giving back, and I just want to say, as someone who has been a recipient of your foundation's giving, I think you guys do a really great job with your diversity initiatives and trying to reach out to the underserved communities and support what we do to get information to our kids. And I could just say from firsthand, you have the BGD Empowerment Academy, which is targeted to specifically Black youth of color, working with grassroots programs, and you all do a good job of just getting, supporting financially, but also physically being on site to help out in any way you can. I've even had Lauren at one point do a clinic, help out with a clinic. And I just want to just shout you all out for that, because I think for a lot of sponsors that I have, you all do a really great job of just being very hands-on with your groups that you support. So thank you for that. Kyrie, I want to move kind of past the internship roles and talk about in-house, what you guys do as full-time employees. So can you speak to the culture of the AJGA and also the benefits when you're as a full-time employee?
There we go.
Yeah, so I just started in June, so I'm also still kind of getting used to the ropes and the realms. But I think that was the one thing from the internship that drove me to the AJGA. It was the culture of the AJGA. It was everybody is always excited to be here, is always willing to help each other out and work. And that was a breath of fresh air and something, new. And so that kind of drove me there. But I guess kind of what I do now transitioning. So I transitioned from a traveling operations intern to now I'm the manager of DE&I. So it's kind of completely different realms. I help Sydney a lot with recruiting, and I recruit more in like the HBCU spaces and things like that. But I also do other things, like I work a lot in our Day in the Life program. And what that is basically we work with a lot of different organizations, like the First Tee programs and things like that. And so basically we bring out kids to our events to kind of show them the business side of golf, to kind of show them what the sports life could look like more obviously on the golf side of things. So we take them on a day in a life with us. So we show them kind of what does our starting look like. So like one of our interns will kind of take the kids and help them. Sometimes they'll even start a group just to kind of get them to really interact with us, but then we'll show them, what our rules officiating looks like, what our pace of play looks like, how do we interact with our sponsors, the golf staff, how do we live score, how do we score them at the end. Sometimes it depends on what day it is, but sometimes they'll be there with like a setup day so they can kind of really see it. But most of the time it's on our tournament days. And that was kind of more of my entity moving into the DE&I space, just kind of expanding the horizons of what golf is, but also what golf could be.
And then can you talk about the benefits that you've got to enjoy? Again, being that you're the newer employee, I don't know if this is your first full-time position outside of college, but if you've worked for other organizations, maybe something that's different from the typical jobs you've had in the past.
Yeah, so when I was in grad school, first full-time job, it's kind of like a yes and a no. I was a grad assistant at Wagner College. I was a residential coordinator, so I worked a lot with kids as far as basically I was running a dorm building, and you can only imagine what that kind of looked like. I think definitely the benefits that I get from this job is they definitely push me outside of my comfort zone. They definitely push me outside of the box of thinking of, okay, this is the baseline, but how can we make it better? How can I push you, move you to not only being a better person, but also helping the organization and kind of moving forward. I think also the benefit, I'm going to continue to say it, is the networking opportunities that I get to do and the, places, going to different universities and the HBCU spaces and, the golf coaching and like things like that. I get to meet not only like the players, but, I get to work with athletic departments. I get to work with, different organizations and things like that. For all of us, we all have the same common goal is, helping the kids, but also what is, elevating not only golf world, but the sports industry. So I think the benefit of, working with the AJGA is just the exposure that you get, but as well as the different skills that you get to learn. What I thought I would be doing and what I actually do are two very different entities, but I think it's a great thing just for me because I get to be very versatile. I didn't really realize how much I'd be helping Sydney with recruiting. I'm not going to lie, but I absolutely love it. I interacted a lot with kids and stuff in the past with my GA position. So like it really helped, that helped me transition as far as being able to talk to the college kids, and being able to kind of hit a level with them because I unfortunately was that kid all of 6 months ago. So it's kind of nice. But I definitely think those are definitely the benefits from the AJGA is that they kind of also help you stack your resume as far as the skills that you also are able to receive and put you on different projects in order for you to gain those skills and kind of see what do you do well, what could you work on, what maybe is not your strongest suit. So it kind of helps you do all of those things. I hope that answers the question.
No, definitely did a great job answering that. I want to add to what you said. I've worked with several AJGA alums, maybe not ones who work full time, but definitely did the internship program in my role at the LPGA, and also met some in the industry. And I will tell you what you're saying is very true. They all come in well prepared compared to the average college student who comes out to work in an entry level role. You can tell the difference in their skills and their professionalism compared to the others. And not to say that, all college students aren't professional, but, if your first time job, there's obviously a lot to learn about working in the, professional world. And it seems like AJGA does a great job of preparing you all for what to expect and just being more like go-getters, proactive. You don't have to be so you don't have to hold hands with AJGA alums. Has been my experience. You guys seem to realize that you got to figure some things out, and know how to figure it out. So I can definitely attest to that and say that I think that's one of the best parts of the program from my perspective is that you guys do get a lot of skills and seem to be prepared for the real world. So with that, let's talk about a little bit about, if you can touch on, Sydney, the compensation, not so much for in-house, because obviously that can vary, but just, I think we didn't talk about it, but the internship program, there's a question about compensation. What does that look like? And I know you talked about the uniforms and other things, but actual monetary compensation.
Yeah, absolutely. So our traveling interns get paid $9 an hour. And then we also pay time and a half for overtime, which, as you can imagine, there's quite a bit of. So you get $9 an hour, time and a half for overtime. Our in-house interns will get $10 an hour. And typically our in-house interns work, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So really no overtime with that. But with the traveling internship, like I mentioned earlier, we cover all of the travel expenses, all of the lodging expenses, but also think like laundry, stuff like that, little expenses that you didn't think would add up when you're at a hotel and you have to pay to use the washer and dryer. That's something that we cover for you. So all of those expenses are covered. We cover a lot of the food. If you're ever working kind of through a meal or something like that, we'll cover that. Really, the only food that you have to pay for as a traveling intern is food during your travel days. Maybe breakfast, before you go into the golf course, dinner after work, stuff like that. But for the most part, if you're ever working through a meal, we will cover that for you, which is good. But that in-house internship, again, just to mention, as that relocation may come into effect for some people that are looking to do that, we do not provide housing for the in-house internship, so you would be on your own for that. However, we do have a few connections in the area of people that may have an open room or know some people that we can get you connected with for sure. And a lot of people will sublease from the University of Georgia over the summer. A lot of college kids, go home for the summer months. So a lot of times you can have success finding a subleaser there. But yeah, so that is $9 an hour for the traveling internship, $10 an hour for the in-house internship. And then additionally, like I said, all the uniforms we give you, you'll get a lot of other fun gifts, whether it's golf balls or just other, sponsor-friendly gifts that we get at our events.
Nice. So thank you for that information. And so I know your application process is extensive. Can you just give us a brief overview of what that looks like in regards to applying, and also talk about the people who gotten the position like you two? What are, I guess, the things that get them over the top, or maybe what are the things that prevent those who didn't make it to get there?
Sure. Yeah, I'll talk about the hiring process and some tips and tricks while you're going through that. But our internship hiring process is pretty much in 3 steps. The first step is just going onto our website, ajga.org/about/careers, and submitting an application and submitting your resume. So I would say this is one of the harder steps to get through. We get probably over 1,300 applications every year for our internship program. So as you can imagine, Kyrie and I and a couple other people look at a lot of resumes every day. And if your resume, I just highly encourage everybody to make sure your resume is up to date. Maybe take it to your campus library or career center or something and have somebody proof it. Make sure there's no typos. Make sure it's just all laid out correctly, right? So make sure your resume looks good. And then in the application, you'll fill out some questions like, what are some of your leadership roles? And how does your experience correlate to the job description? Or what's your golf knowledge? Be very specific in that. Don't feel like we're not reading it, because we definitely are. And don't just copy what's on your resume, paste it into the application. We see that a lot. Don't look up on ChatGPT. How can the AJGA internship impact my future career goals? It's the same response for everybody. So make sure you're mixing that up, just so that we know that you're really interested. And that's kind of the time for your personality to show a little bit, right? So talk about, as much as you want there. It will ask for some references. You can put that there. If you're applying for the communications internship, there is an option to put your portfolio if you have one. So feel free to do that. We love looking at portfolios. Again, just seeing your creativity and letting your personality shine, because it's really hard for us to see you as a person from a piece of paper and a couple answers on questions. So definitely be detailed in that. That's kind of the first step of the process. Second stage is a virtual interview and a personality assessment. So you will just record yourself answering some interview questions. And the best part is that we actually give you all of the questions ahead of time, so you can prepare. And I highly encourage you all to prepare if you do so. Write down your thoughts, practice a couple of times. Each question is timed, whether it's 30 seconds, 1 minute or so. And you only get one try to answer every question. Since we are giving you those questions, we only do give you one try. So I encourage you to practice, write down your thoughts, make sure you can get it within that 30 seconds to a minute kind of time frame, because it is a hard cutoff once that time is up. And a lot of times we see people that think it's not a hard cutoff, and then they keep talking, and then we don't hear half their answer. So again, just practice, write down your answers, and you'll be really successful there. And then the personality assessment really isn't any tips I can give for you there. It's not super hard. It's really fun questions. So you can do that. We use the personality assessment a lot when we are picking intern teams for the spring and the summer. So it's more so just to see, what kind of person you are and how you best interact with different types of people. And then the final stage is a little bit different depending the spring internship and the summer internship. The spring internship is just a final virtual interview where you will hop on a Microsoft Teams meeting with some AJGA full-time staff, and we will just interview you like that. It's really great for you to meet a lot of, higher ups in our company and hear about the AJGA internship, and we can hear a lot about you in that. And that's just kind of a rolling process throughout the fall for our spring internship. And typically we have our spring internship interns decided kind of by the end of November or so. And then for our summer internship, we have what we call our intern recruiting weekend, also known as IRW. This is where we have our finalists, call it 125 or so of them, travel to our national headquarters for an all-inclusive kind of recruitment interviewing weekend. So you'll have in-person interviews with our full-time staff. You'll get to meet all of our full-time staff, team building exercises as you're going to meet all of the other candidates there. We have guest speakers come. We have our sponsors come. It is a really, really great opportunity for those summer candidates. And even if you don't get the internship after it, you will network so much through it. You'll learn so much about yourself. I know, like, at the beginning of the weekend, I always am like, get ready, like, you're going to learn so much. And everybody, I feel like, rolls their eyes and they're like, oh no, like, it's just a couple of days. And then at the end, everybody is like, you're right. This was eye-opening. And it really is. And it's a full staff-wide event. All 73 of our full-time staff are involved. So that's a really cool opportunity for you to meet everybody from our executive director all the way up to our other departments that, as an operations or communications intern, you may not work with all the time. Maybe our IT department. You may not see them while you're out on the road. So it's really cool for you to interact with the full-time staff, meet our sponsors. I know TaylorMade, they always come out and they love to interact with our interns and everything like that. So that's kind of that process for 2025. It's taking place January 31st through February 2nd. And then we typically have our summer interns kind of selected, call it mid-February, early March or so. So you'll have a few months to kind of prepare. And then you don't have to be panicking trying to find an internship at the last second once you have ours kind of lined up there, which is good.
Yeah, that's actually, your program is part of the reason why I did this event this time of year, because I find that a lot of companies are opening internships in like late fall or late winter, and then they'll hire you in the spring, or at least notify you in the spring. So unfortunately, if there's like colleges having career fairs in the spring, those jobs are already taken. And so it's like, it's too late. You're just giving your resume for the following year, not necessarily for this year. So the goal of this event was based on that purpose, is to get people to register now, or sign up now, apply now, so that they can hopefully get their summer internships for the coming year. So this is some great information y'all have shared, lots of information. So I hope everybody's taking notes. And if I didn't mention this already, this is recorded and will be shared through our newsletter that goes out to everybody who's participating in this event. So if you have not already done so, in the chat, there is a link to our registration page, so you can receive the follow-up email with this recording, and also some of their contact information. They've shared websites that you need to go to apply. So ladies, I'm going to wrap it up with, because of our 5th anniversary, I wanted to do some rapid fire questions, 5 rapid fire questions. I'm not going to make you both answer both of them, but I will call one of you out to answer each. They are not going to be super hard, so don't get nervous. To make it fun, but also to kind of give people the information that they should know just in general about applying for roles in the golf industry and in life, really. So I'm going to start with Kyrie. And the first question I'm going to ask you is, what are your top 5 favorite things about working in the golf industry?
Ooh, you said this wasn't hard. I would say top 5 things working in the industry. The people. Met some amazing people. The golf courses being able to travel. I think there's some golf courses are just your jaw drops. I trying to think. Okay, that's 2. Networking for sure. I would say yes, even like the people at the AJGA, but also the people that you get to meet outside of the AJGA. Working with Sydney and Lauren. And working in the golf industry, getting to play. Yeah, I got to go to an event not too long ago, and I got to hit a celeb shot, and I was so excited. And so, like, being able to play and still kind of being able to have that itch. I was a collegiate golfer, so, like, it's still in me, unfortunately. And so I think being able to still do that, it's awesome. So I think that's 5.
Yeah, you did a great job. It was easy peasy, no problem. And I felt like it was going to be easy because you love so much of what you do. Okay. All right, so Sydney, it's your turn. And you've talked about this several times already, so hopefully this is not going to throw you off. But name 5 skills. Oh, no, sorry. Share 5 quick tips for networking in the golf industry.
Sure. Yeah. I feel like the biggest tip that I tell everybody is, well, there's a couple tips that I tell everybody. First tip is always, look your best, whether you're going to a networking event or you're just like going to work or something like that. Make sure that you look your best. You never know who you're going to meet that day. I mean, even here at the AJGA, like random people just show up at the office someday and go on a tour. And then, you're meeting, the CEO of a company. Yeah. You're looking like a rat with your hair up or whatever. So it's like, look your best, look professional, dress for the job you want, not for the job you have, is what we always like to say. I always try and tell people, try and meet somebody new every single day, whether it's, in the golf industry, outside of the golf industry. You never know who these people know. Even if they aren't in the golf industry themselves, their brother or sister might be, and then they can connect you to them and so on and so forth. So try and meet as many people as you can. That's really how you get to places nowadays, is by knowing people. So network as much as you can with people, meet new people, put 100% in every task that you do. I remember when I was an intern, this is like a core memory of my internship. I was at an event out in California, and our tournament chair was telling us that, a couple of years prior, that there was him and our executive director were just sitting out on like the little patio and we're talking, and an intern came by and like on like a practice putting green, they have like those like mini little flags. They were like all out because the kids had been using the practice putting green, and so they were all out just scattered across the green. And one of the interns came and like put all of the flags back. Took them probably 2 seconds to do, and probably didn't even think twice of it. And our executive director was like, I want to hire them. Like, they're going to be hired. Like, it's just the little details that you think nobody is going to realize. I feel like people do realize that, and they want people like that are detail oriented, do things just because why wouldn't they do them? That kind of mentality. So that's just a fun story that I always remember. And I tell people to do, I don't remember.
That was 3.
That was 3. Mm-hmm. Oh gosh. I don't know what my other 2 would be. I feel like just networking and following up after you meet people, getting their contact information, remembering their name. That's a big thing that is a struggle with a lot of people, is, oh gosh, I know who they are, but I don't remember their name and I don't know what to do. So however you best do it, whether it's just jotting their name in your notes app on your phone really quick with their contact information, some way that you can remember who this person is, and then following up, of course, just so that you can stay connected, whether it's just connecting with them on LinkedIn, sending them a thank you email, which I feel like kind of leads me into, if you do apply for this internship, reach out to me directly and follow up and let me know, because I feel like that goes a long way with recruiters, is, seeing that you are reaching out, letting us know that you're interested and that, you're, above and beyond, what we're looking for. So I think that's 5.
Great. No, you did awesome. You did awesome. All right, Kyrie, your turn. Now, this is going to be a toughie, but don't overthink it. I'll just say that.
Okay.
The question is, in 5 words or less, describe your dream job in golf.
Oh, my dream job. I could tell you my dream job in general, but I don't know about. I think definitely through this experience, I realized how much of a people person I am. I would say I'm an extroverted person, but I think this job really makes you extroverted because you have to be. But I realized that I love the connection with that. Maybe in golf, I don't know. I want, like, my ultimate is like, I would love to be an athletic director. Like, I'd love to like work with the athletes, give back to the athletes, like having that bond. I feel like you get overlooked and overshadowed as sometimes as an athlete and things like that. And so like being able to bond with everybody as they are a person. Like, it's not like, oh, you were just an athlete and you help us do X, Y, and Z. Like being able to guide them and help them. So, maybe in golf, starting an organization, I don't know. She said don't overthink it, and now I'm going to think about it tonight.
She also said five words, and you gave her like 300.
Yeah,
but that's the exercise you have to do, right? Because you want to dream beyond where you are today. So I think that's a good thing. So you have it on recording now. Athletic director.
Thank you.
We're going to be rooting for you there. Who knows? Somebody could be watching this, could help you along the way.
Yeah.
There's always obviously jobs in golf for coaches at school, so that could lead you on your path. So you never know. So I'll let you be, but that was good. That was good. All right. So going back to Sydney. Sydney, can you name 5 skills that are crucial for success in your role?
Ooh.
Sure. First and foremost, I would say organization. I've quickly realized in the 2 years that I've been doing this that if you're not organized, it's tough for sure. A lot of just paperwork and people to keep track of, and all of the things. So organization, definitely. Communication is a big thing. I think that's pretty critical in just about any sort of business position. So communication with people, time management, I think is a very critical role. Team working. I know that I am kind of the only manager of recruiting at the AJGA. Really, the HR department is Kyrie and Lauren, and Jason, our CFO. But I do work, very closely with the entire staff when it comes to recruiting, and I send a lot of, full-time staff to other career fairs because obviously there's only one of me and there's a lot of career fairs we want to hit. So I'll send some full-time staff out there, and I really couldn't do it without, the team here at the AJGA. So being able to work with the team and communicate with the team is really important. And then finally, I would say, I'm trying to think, like networking, I think. That kind of coincides with communicating, but I feel like in my role, I'm always trying to meet new people and promote the AJGA internship, whether it's to students or to academic advisors or sponsors or anything like that. So I think networking is probably that last key skill for sure.
Awesome. Good. Great tips. All right. So Kyrie, you're going to wrap us up. I'm going to give you a golf question. This is semi-softball question, hopefully for you.
Okay.
This is related, since you mentioned all the beautiful golf courses that you've been able to see in your internship. If you could design a 5-hole golf course, could you name me maybe 3? We don't have to go 5 unique features that you would include.
Ooh, okay. 1, I would put on one of the holes, I put water in front of the green, even though I would hate it. I know how hard it would be. We got to make it a little interesting. Definitely one of them would be a par 5. I love a par 5. I wish that all the holes were a par 5, but that's just not how the world works. And lastly, I don't know. I feel like I would make a tee box really interesting. I'm thinking hard because I'm we had to play so many courses and they would make them super tough. But maybe a dog leg to the right and you got to go over some trees. I don't really know. You're giving me questions and I'm literally going to go home tonight and I'm really going to think about this.
Well, I was surprised that you didn't say, and this is my personal choice, I love elevated greens.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay. That's a hot take.
A Donald Ross course is my jam because I love elevated greens. I don't know why. It's something about looking up at the hole, and the challenge of that for me just is fun. I just played one actually in Costa Rica a couple of weeks ago, and when I say elevated, I feel like we were climbing the side of a mountain in the rainforest.
You just unlocked a core memory. When I think of an elevated green, I think of how I have to walk up it. And when we played at Townsend, when I was playing golf, there was 2. It was 9 and 18 that were both elevated. So if you went back and you started on hole 8, you had to walk it twice. And so I was just very excited about that moment.
That's so funny.
Yeah, no, the walking part is not the fun part. I think it's just the aesthetic for me. I just like it's something about a green being up high that looks cool to me. So anyways, Well, ladies, you did an awesome job. Just as a wrap up, can you just share again the upcoming deadlines for your internship program so people know when to apply? And if you want to add any last minute reasons why people should consider working at the AJGA.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad you mentioned that because our spring applications are closing in 8 days. So next Friday, our applications close for the spring internship. So if you're interested, definitely get your applications in by then. Our summer applications, however, are open until January 10th. So they're open for a while. I guess that's October, November, December, 3 more months from today. So apply in the next 3 months in order to be eligible for the summer internship. If you do go to apply, you can apply for both those spring and summer internships at the same time. So if you're interested in both, you can apply for both as long as you get that spring application in within the next 8 days. Our in-house applications will not open up until January 6th, so they won't be open for a little bit longer. But all of the applications and everything can be found on our website, as I mentioned earlier, ajga.org/about/careers. I love the AJGA internship. It is really, again, the backbone of the AJGA. I think the best part of the AJGA internship, aside from the traveling and going to these awesome golf courses and meeting all these awesome people, is the amount of responsibility we give to our interns. Really, after a week-long training at our headquarters, we pretty much give you your vehicles and a trailer with all the equipment, and we say, "Good luck, go make it to your first tournament. We'll see you out there." And it's really like that. We give you all of the responsibility in the world to make our events happen. You are the face of the AJGA, whether it's talking to our stakeholders, parents, players, sponsors, all of those types of people. So it's really great. The people you can meet, the things that you do, the places you go are really remarkable.
I'd say the one thing I would add to that is just be yourself. I think through this entire process, just be open, be honest, just be yourself. And, at the end of the day, like that is going to just get you so far, and not even just in career, but just in life, is just be who you are. You're going to see it, whether you are being yourself or you're trying to fake it. We notice it. And so just be true to who you are throughout this entire process.
This has been great advice and great tips. So everybody that just joined in, we are meeting with the AJGA and they are looking to, applications are open now. So please go to their website or go through our website to get to them to be able to apply. Or if you know someone who might be interested, it'd be worth applying, because I think, like I said, I personally think this is the best internship program, hands down, period. So something worth doing. And I'd like to just add, I think some people are so money hungry. They look for the job that pays the most, but the reality is what's going to benefit you long-term are the skill sets that you'll get from these jobs, especially internships. And to that end, the thing that was brought up in this interview that I think was the most important takeaway is that the reason why this is the best internship program is because of the amount of skills that you're going to acquire in a short amount of time. And that people who know about this internship program know you have those skills, and that's going to make you a viable candidate for a higher paying job. So just keep that in mind when you're considering internships, is that it's one thing to get paid now, and it's another thing to have skills that you can use to get paid even better later. So I just want to remind everybody, if you haven't already, register for free through our website. I have the link in the chat. You can go to blackgolfdirectory.com and sign up to get the free recording, as well as the reminders for the upcoming intern applications they mentioned, as well as contact information for the ladies that just are on this interview, and you can reach out to them directly. Also, you're welcome to send your resume to me. I have no problem helping out, but I will say this: if you're going to send it to me, be very clear about what you're applying for, because we've had several companies over the last week that have offered some great opportunities. And I am not a magician, so make sure you all are clear about the role you're looking for, so that as I send them out to the different contacts that I have within our network, they know exactly, what you're looking to do. I have a question in the chat that says, are they only in their areas? I think so. We discussed this, but you all mentioned that obviously your home base is Atlanta, Georgia, or in Georgia, excuse me, not Atlanta specific, but in that greater Atlanta area for in-house. But then the traveling internships are varied throughout the country. So hopefully that answers your question. And you have to be physically in Georgia for the in-house internship. So you'll have to relocate for those if you're not already in Georgia. So anyways, ladies, thanks again. And thank you to everyone who joined us. I'm excited to share this information. You all are our final interview for the week. So we'll be putting out some snippets from these different events, but I'm just grateful for your consistent support and willingness to share the information with our audience. And thanks again, and have an amazing weekend, everyone. Goodbye.